You know, Mr. Strahan, people won't understand this. So I'm going to record it. If you can show me from the beginning, this is from the Board of Equalization meeting today? Is that correct?
Last Friday.
Last Friday. Okay. And we're looking at some documents now that is an argument presented to lower a certain business's tax.
That's correct.
And what business is this?
This is Days Inn.
Okay. And this is always an issue with hotels. How do we evaluate them? And if I can elaborate, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, is what they argue is that the value of the hotel should be based off of revenue and expenses.
That's correct.
Versus what, in normal cases, your office evaluates the land based on square footage and cost to build. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So this is a hard thing for you to deal with.
No, it's not hard to do, but it's just recognizing what's true and equitable to the property and what's not true and equitable to the property. And I think I've pointed out something here nobody can seem to explain on these income and expense reports that before us.
Now, the expense reports include, for one thing you brought up is soda.
Right.
Can you show me that? What that?
Yes, I can. Right here on this this revenue, this income and expense report, we're showing a revenue of $962.95 for revenue for soda, yet it's expensed out down here for soda $6,433. So I simply asked the question, well, do you have approximately $6,000 worth of soda stored out there somewhere that you believe that had not to be attributed to the value of the property?
Got it.
So it's very concerning to me that we're taking vending machine soda in some way trying to put it in a relationship to real estate value on a motel in Branson, Missouri.
What do you think is a fair way to do it?
I believe probably sales comparison is the best way to value a motel in Branson. And the only problem you get into that is you've got to have a good grading system on what A, B, C, D, rank these motels in categories because we have so many. We've had the old throwed together motels back in the 70s and 80s that were stick built. Some of them, as you know, has been dozed at this point, but we still have the good prefab concrete motels, double level sidewalks outside, staircases that are several qualities above that. Then we have, of course, the new modern Radissons and different ones that have the elevators and a different type motel. So we'd have to set up our categories more relative to the property than we do today. We use a cost approach today, which brings us in under value, but now they bring in their income streams, loaded documents with calculations like this, and even receive a lesser value.
Now, is that common for this type of thing to happen?
I've never seen this happen this way on something of this nature. It's usually something different. But down here is the vending soda, $6,433.35, and they say they sold $962.95 of that.
So they have a lot of soda on hand.
Well, that in relationship back to a 10% cap rate is $57,000. That's removed from the value of this property when you apply a cap rate to the expenses. And so $57,000 attributed to whether somebody bought a soda. And I don't know whether you've stayed at many motels or not, but I've never seen any giving away pop. I mean, it usually costs you $1.25, $1.50 to get a
Well, I want to stay there.
Small can of pop. I mean, it's
well, there was a bandit that was stealing soda in town. Maybe that's what happened.
Well,
I don't know.
You know what was ridiculous about this is the assessor pointed this out. Instead of taking the time to go through the numbers and making sure they was correct and not showing a discrepancy, there was two of the members of the 3 BOE there that just went ahead and set a value and passed it instead of sitting down and going through the numbers. And on this one that's showing this expense rate, it's 88% equation between income and expense being 88% of the income, and standard was even said around 70. Well, why would you allow the 88% in if you know these numbers are like this, and go ahead and use that actual numbers?
And just for the public, because they might not be aware of how this process works, if you are assessed and you want to fight the assessment, you can go to the Board of Equalization, which consists of who?
It should consist of 5 members, the county commission and 2 outside appointees. the problem the day that these numbers was brought up with last Friday, there's one of the gentlemen sick and had some hospital tests going that day, and then another gentleman had an appointment, and two of them wasn't there, and it was down to a 3-board panel. And so for them to make such a move, it really disturbed me, because they're allowing this appeal in the even numbered year, and all the rest of the motels and hotels out there have to wait till next year. And I don't think they should have reassessed. In the even numbered year, they should hear if I've made a mistake on measurement unknowingly, or a classification's wrong unknowingly. This is a total different thing. They totally reassessed this property in the even numbered year, and that's not correct in the state of Missouri to reassess in the even numbered year. Why they did I made mention of that. It's in the minutes.
Now,
I made mention of it.
Right. Now, and your suggestion is that we have a grading system for the different types of motel, quality of construction, amenities, and that would be a more fair way to do it. Is that?
Yeah, I think it. Other than if you're going to veer away from the cost approach, there's no use. If you're going to veer away from that, you got to get away from the measurement of manageability, and we shouldn't be measuring managers on what they can do to determine the value of a property. And you want to remember, this is to recapture their money in 13 years, 12 years. I don't care whether they recapture it in 12 years or they have to refinance after that to recapture it in 24. My business, I don't expect to pay it off and you recapture my money in 13 years. I'll be lucky to stay afloat in 13 years in this economy. So to allow this to be the true actual value of a property, I've never seen one sell. I've never seen a motel sell since I've been here for the income value, approach to value that has been put on some of these appraisals. Never have seen it. I've got many sales also.
Now, what else? Just any last words about the process, how it could be more equitable, or issues that you see?
This general process should not have been allowed till next year, when everybody else gets reassessed. These calculations would have been considered by the assessor as being a downturn in the economy, and it definitely shows that on these income expense reports. But just to pick 2 or 3 because attorneys and high-dollar CPAs come in here throwing these calculations around, I don't believe in it. I don't think it's fair.